Lizard, that guy, versus Ghazghkull. Ghazghkull. Is it just me, or is there a terrifying lack of Terrans left in this tournament? Maybe there was a lack of Terrans to begin with. Curiouser and curiouser. Anyway, it's Lizard up in the top, and Ghazghkull down the bottom plane. Zerg, Lizard with the pylon on the low ground. That looks like a gap though. And I don't mind the gap because you can put two buildings here and have the wall on that side with a gap for your zealot there. So that's okay, so long as that's his plan and he realizes that this is a gap. So long as that's the case, then everything is fine. Worker punting across the map to have a scout overlord going in the opposite direction, and overlord over here. Where did that worker go? Oh, there he is, just chilling in the corner. The pool's going to finish up pretty shortly here. The gas finishes up, everything looking okay, bang on target. The hatchery is going to finish up as well. So Ghazghkull building two queens, pretty standard stuff. No lings in production yet though, still droning. And typically, me personally, I like to get maybe 4 or 6 lings out as soon as that pool finishes. As much as anything else, just to wander about on the map, nip across, have a look in your opponent's base. There is the wall, so good. With the shield battery as well, taking no chances. I don't know, I think I'd have not bothered with the shield battery and got my Nexus down a little bit sooner, given that I did have a worker in my opponent's base a moment ago, so I knew that this hatchery was finishing up in good time. There was no kind of waiting for stuff. Would have been nice if the worker had stayed alive to see what these cocoons were going to turn into. That one's actually an overlord, which doesn't tell you much. So one of the things you can do, having had a quick look around, is you can put your worker out and just leave it patrolling out the front as a sacrificial offering. So, if a bunch of stuff comes out, it will attack that worker, most likely. Or you'll see it on the mini-map, one of the two, and that'll be a useful thing. Oracle coming across the map. Let's see what the Oracle can get done. Personally, not a big fan of Oracles against Zerg, because the Queen just kind of makes it very, you can't just set and forget. You have to micro it to avoid it, because otherwise it'll just shoot the Queen, and it won't kill the Queen will kill it. So Oracle not actually getting any kills at all. Very micro intensive to get the worker kills. You've got to be one by one focusing on those workers individually to get the kills while the Queen is there. So yeah, Oracle not achieving much. I wouldn't have minded seeing the Oracle come out here and maybe trying to drop a time bomb. But what the Oracle has very successfully done though is this. Got a reasonable scout. Now, this must have gone down just after the Oracle, or maybe the Oracle. I didn't think it did though. Was the Oracle just too far this side to actually see it? I could have sworn that was already in production or finished when the Oracle went in. Anyway, there are going to be mutalisks on the map, and here are some mutalisks. So, what's the magic number for mutas? Normally, I reckon about it. Mutalisks is enough to devastate a worker line reasonably quickly without an overcommitment. What the Zerg needs at this stage is to know what his opponent's up to. So I'd love to see an Overlord just sacrifice in here, because to be honest, you see 2 Stargates, you worry, but nothing's been built from them. There's these 2 Phoenix and that's it. 2 is not the magic number for Phoenix, that's for sure. You want 5 or 6, and if you do have those 5 or 6 Phoenix, you shut these mutalisks down so hard. It's awkward watching Phoenix against mutalisk, because Phoenix outrange them, they fly at the same speed, and they can shoot. No, that is not how to use mutalisks. So the Phoenix can shoot whilst moving, and they fly at the same speed. So the mutas cannot outrun the Phoenix, and the mutas cannot shoot while they're moving. So the Phoenix can just follow them home, picking them off. It's really, really awkward to watch. So with reasonable micro, you in theory never lose Phoenix to mutas, unless you do some sort of weird just stand still and fight. That is not where you want to fly in. So these mutas, you know, fair play, Lizard being busy with them, trying to get something done, does eventually find an opening here, and this is good damage, but needs to get out now. Might find a couple more. Well, actually, no, don't stand and fight with the Phoenix. That shouldn't be what's happening, and definitely don't stand and fight that lot with those mutas. Get out. Your job is done. You did well. Killed a whole bunch of workers there. So, you know, this is all good things. Ghazghkull with the pretty healthy income lead. So, you know, if you're in Ghazghkull's position, I don't mind replacing some of these mutas. I wouldn't be personally inclined to overcommit. I'd be thinking about how to tech up while keeping pressure on with these mutas. So what I want to do is make my opponent essentially paranoid. I want them to feel like every time they leave their base, a bunch of mutas are going to come in and kill all their workers. And therefore they're, oh no, don't stand fight. You know, as a general rule with mutas, never stand fight. That's just not what mutas are good at. Kill workers, fly about the place, scout the map. Standing and fighting is seldom the right choice. If it's a single unit, yeah, by all means snipe it, but you know, if it's several units, generally mutas are not good battle units. So I like what I'm seeing from Ghazghkull, is keeping pressure on, is continuing to harass his opponent. It's making it hard for Lizard to move out, you know, because Lizard has got a hefty army, you know, because a lot of the supply here in the Zerg army is these mutas, and they just don't stand up in a fight. So, you know, in a head-to-head, this Protoss army is scary. Ghazghkull wants to avoid a head-on fight. He does not want the Protoss coming across the map and crunching him until he's teched up. I'd love to see lurkers. I'd love to see upgrades coming down for the units he's already got. Speaking of which, +1 ground, +1 air for the Protoss, and just +1 armor for the Zerg. Wait, what? That isn't +1 armor, is it? What is? Yeah, it is. Hang on. What? Have I gone mad? Where's his ego? Have I got the little symbols wrong? Is that not +1 armor? Oh, it's flyer armor, isn't it? It's flyer armor. So, so no evos. No evolution chambers on the ground yet for the Zerg, so I'd really like to see him fix that so that he gets himself into a position to take a head-on fight. You know, once your Protoss gets up to 200 supply, you need a hefty Zerg army. You could do something. You need third tier, basically, tier 3 units. So you need stuff like ultras. You need infestors, perhaps, or vipers, or broods. Those are the types of units you've got to have. Roaches and mutas have no place in a maxed out army battle. They just don't. Although, with that said, if you can trade these for 2 carriers, that is a trade that you'll definitely take. But meanwhile, the rest of this army is just getting crunched. You know, the Immortals just are eat roaches alive. And Hydras are good, but they need stuff in front of them. They need a bit of a buffer. They need more than that in terms of roaches. Yeah, a bit ugly in the end. So I liked what I saw from Ghazghkull in terms of, I liked the harassment, I liked the number of mutalisks, I liked the flying into his opponent's base, but where he went wrong was that late game composition just wasn't right. If you want to take on this army, at some point you have to say, stop building mutas, get what value you can from them, but ultimately sacrifice them in a trade for, you know, sniping a piece of tech, or trading out for a mineral line, or trading out for a couple of expensive units, maybe some Templars, whatever you can get, but stop building them, because when it comes to the big fight, those mutalisks, they're just dead supply, basically. They just melt, and they're just not going to do it. And you know, as a general rule in a Zerg versus Protoss game, if you're still building roaches after the 10-minute mark, you've not done it right. You need something heftier than that. You need to be moving towards ultralisks, or broods, or swarm hosts, or whatever, spellcasters, etc. Zerg has a lot of options open to them, but you know, roaches, roaches and mutalisks are great sort of early to mid game harassment units, great control units, and good defensive units in the case of the roaches too. So roaches are great early to mid, but in the late game, again, they take up a lot of supply and they just don't pack enough punch. Anyway, GG.